Hello, I'm Michael Spicer, and this is what I think Americans get wrong about the British. So what I want to do is debunk some American assumptions about the Brits. So if I were to ask a random American, could you describe Britain? They'd probably say bad food, bad weather, bad teeth, and they've got a royal family who are nice. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's more to just a list of bad things than the royal family. There's a little bit more than that. So let's get into it. Hello, my name is David Hasselhoff. That's David Hasselhoff, not David Hasselhoff. And when I'm not being mistaken for the A-list star of Baywatch and Knight Rider, I like to travel the world. But the problem with being a world traveller called David Hasselhoff is that wherever I go, whenever I connect to the internet, people are always trying to collect data and information from my laptop in the hope of getting some hot David Hasselhoff news. But I'm not David Hasselhoff, I'm David Hasselhoff. My first thought was to use a VPN service, but all of that data usually just goes straight to the VPN company for them to do as they wish. That's where Mysterium VPN comes in. Mysterium VPN is different from other VPNs that you may have been using. Mysterium connects you to a decentralized network of legitimate residential IP addresses. This means that Mysterium VPN can't access your data, even if they wanted to, which they don't. For undetectable privacy and access to content worldwide, choose Mysterium VPN. Thank you. Any questions? I have one. Ah yes, me in a hoodie. Yes, I was just wondering how many countries this network of decentralized web users connects to. Excellent question. Mysterium VPN's decentralized network allows you to connect to IP addresses in 135 countries, offering you a safe and secure internet connection, which is a lot more than traditional VPNs. And it's even better for you, my viewers, right now, because you can enjoy 15% off by using the link in the description and entering the code
Michael.
Visit the website now and find out how Mysterium VPN can help you if your name is a little bit like a famous person from the 1990s. Thank you. A classic American stereotype of the Brits is that we all have bad teeth. And there are some famous Brits who have lovely teeth, like David Beckham, Jurgen Klopp. I'll come back to that. Americans often see British humour as just being dry and sarcastic, with an emphasis on irony and understatement. American humour is more often centred around a punchline, so called because American jokes in sitcoms, for instance, feel like we're being punched directly in the face, with laughter tracks and so forth. Brits are often stereotyped as being extremely polite and well-mannered. However, I will counteract that by saying that the further north you go, the more polite people tend to be. I'm currently in the south, and everyone is pretty mean. There's also a stereotype that the Brits love pubs, and although I don't, that is true for everyone else on this little island. We love going to the pub for any reason. Drinks after work, pub. Birthday, pub. Funeral, are you dead, pub. We literally go to the pub after a funeral. I don't know why. The pub caters for every occasion in Britain.
Hey, do you want a beer?
No, let's go out.
For what?
For a beer.
I've got a beer.
No, let's go out for a beer.
I've got a beer.
I don't want a beer here.
Why don't you want a beer here?
Because I want a beer in a pub.
Why? It's going to cost you money.
Because only in a pub can you really enjoy a beer.
Who told you that?
Pubs.
It doesn't make any sense that you're turning down a free beverage here, now, for the same beverage somewhere else that will cost you upwards of £5 in a place that's too noisy and smells faintly of piss because you still have Victorian plumbing here or some shit.
You just don't understand. Britain was built on these kinds of traditions that don't make any sense. If you're going to live here, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Well, I'm not gonna deal with them. Forget it. I'm going out.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna get some coffee.
You've got coffee here.
I mean a proper coffee.
You can make a proper coffee here. You've got a professional coffee making machine. You've got a machine that coffee shops use.
It's not that good.
Baristas break into your house to use it.
That was just the one time. Anyway, I want to go to a coffee shop for the ambience. You know, music, lighting, sofas.
You just described your own living room.
I just don't want to make it, okay? I want someone else to make it, and I want to be watching that person making it whilst standing awkwardly near them. That you can't get at home. Well, it's the same with me with pubs. I want to go to a pub so that I can get into a fight. And that's something you can't do at home either. But if we go to different places, we're not spending any time with each other. Oh, okay, well, why don't we start a fight in a coffee shop? Sure.
There is, of course, no specific way of being British. We're just too much of a hodgepodge of different ideas and accents and approaches to life. But most Americans wouldn't know that because according to Hollywood, there are only two types of Brit, and one of them seems to be Australian. Consider Frasier, for example, a very popular show that ran for 11 seasons, and we loved it here, but we hated any episode where Daphne's family would visit. Daphne was from Manchester, although her accent wasn't Mancunian. She was just a generic northerner.
Oh, of course you should. I completely understand.
And yet when her brother came to visit with his replica Manchester United top, he was clearly from East London. He was proper Dick Van Dyke London. So you'd get these scenes where she'd go, "Hey up, bruv, nice to see you." And he'd go, "Alright sis, what's happening?" That makes no sense to us, but Americans seemingly didn't mind that at all. There is more to Brits than extremely upper-class posh and Cockney man rambling on about apples and pears. I'm kind of curious to know what Americans think the Beatles sound like. So when you watch, for instance, Ringo Starr on his socials talking, what are you hearing? Apart from peace and love, leave me the alone, please. But then there's Northern Ireland and Wales and Scotland. I mean, Scotland is like Texas in America, by which I mean they're constantly threatening to take all of their oil and secede from the Union. Actor Liam Neeson is Northern Irish, so his success means that Americans do kind of understand that accent too, but only when it's giving ultimatums over the phone about having a particular set of skills, which is limiting. The point is that there are many different kinds of Brits. We're not all Victorian chimney sweeps and white-gloved Downton Abbey butlers. But the royal family is synonymous with the UK, and yes, they are definitely posh. Most Americans consider the royal family as just posh celebrities. And that is true, but the difference is that these are celebrities whose poshness we are paying for. When you see them at a horse racing event wearing a big hat, I'm paying for that big hat. You wouldn't expect an American to pay for a big hat worn by Kim Kardashian, would you? Well, unless that American is buying Kardashian products, in which case they are. But they don't have to. I do. I pay my tax, because taxes go to those poshos. Despite the Kardashians, the Americans are absolutely fascinated by our royal family, and they assume that we are too, uniformly, but we're not. There's a real divide between those who want the royal family and those who don't in this country. Perhaps Americans see the royal family differently because they see it as just like some sort of family business with good old traditional family values. However, the problem with that particular family business is that it's very difficult to get a promotion. Charles was 73 before he got his. The royals are also associated with poise and high-class etiquette. But to that, I give you two words. Prince Andrew. A man who flies around the world with Jeffrey Epstein, but apparently doesn't drink, doesn't party, and doesn't sweat. Disclaimer, he did do all of those things. But the royal family are just uber posh. They're beyond posh. No one else is like them when it comes to poshness. They don't even have proper names. Prince William's full name is His Royal Highness William Arthur Philip Louis Prince of Wales. I mean, how do they fit all of that onto his driver's licence? British food has a fairly poor reputation around the world, but is it justified? Yes. But aside from tea and crumpets and fish and chips and a full English, what else do we offer? Well, I think we lead the way when it comes to Chinese food, Italian food, and Indian food. And I guess that says everything you need to know about British food, because it's so bad, we have to steal from other countries, which is kind of like the British Museum approach to gastronomy. Here's something that Brits love that just confuses Americans and make them go, what? Baked beans. The Brits love baked beans because it pretty much goes with everything. Basically, the Brits love anything in tins. We love putting food in tins. We love storing things in tins. It all goes back to when we were an empire and we loved starting wars and preparing for wars. And it's a whole repressed psychological memory thing. Pudding. In Britain, pudding means everything to do with dessert. In America, pudding means almost always chocolate. It's neither solid nor liquid, either found in a plastic cup or at a salad bar set dangerously close to a heat lamp. In Britain, we have as many puddings as we have accents. But as well as pudding being desserts, pudding for us can also be the meal. Take Yorkshire pudding, which isn't a pudding, but it is. Black pudding, which is commonly served with a full English breakfast, and it's a type of blood sausage, which is a sausage filled with blood. Now, black pudding is a staple of the royal family's traditional Christmas breakfast, and King Charles's bloodline goes all the way back to Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler inspired Dracula. So, what am I saying? The royal family of vampires, that's what I'm saying. Bangers and mash. Now, most Americans might think that that is a reference to an 80s cop show with a man and some sort of monkey with a badge and a gun. Bangers and mash are the Lennon and McCartney of British food.
Yes, sir. May I take your order? Yeah, I'll have the steak with chips. Steak only comes with fries, sir. Yeah, sorry, I meant fries. So why did you say chips? Because in England I have steak and chips. They don't do fries in England? Yes, but we also do chips. And I have chips with steak. Not fries. No. Chips. Chips are different from fries? Yes, they're thicker. They're thicker and they're called chips. But chips aren't thick, they're thin. No, you're talking about potato chips. I'm not talking about potato chips. I'm talking about chips. What are your chips made from? Potatoes. So you're talking about chips made from potatoes, but you're not talking about potato chips. I'm talking about the chips that are like thick French fries. Chips aren't like thick French fries. They're like thin potato slices. I'm not talking about potato chips. I'm talking about thick French fries that we call chips. How do you make French fries thick? Do you stick them together? No, you slice them into thicker strips. You slice them into thicker strips and call them chips? Yes. So what do you call what we call potato chips? Crisps. You call potato chips crisps? Yes, because they're crispy. You know, not chippy. Potato chips are crunchy, not crispy. What about Pringles? Pringles aren't potato chips. What are they? Crisps. Right, so you do call crisps crisps? No, we call Pringles crisps. Just Pringles? Yeah. Why? Because they're crispy. All crisps are crispy, that's why they're called crisps. No, potato chips are called potato chips because they're chipped from potatoes. Pringles aren't chipped from potatoes, so we call them crisps. Because they're crispy. Ha! I think your date is left. I had a date?
So now you know the truth behind some of these British myths. Maybe. Don't forget, the English language was invented by us, so if any of you have a problem with the English language, don't forget we said it right first, you said it wrong second. Don't get me started on aluminium. I don't even know how you say it. Aluminum, that's it. Aluminum. Yes, our best food was taken from other countries, but that's what we do. We steal, and we present as our own. I mean, that's one of the only real things that we have in common with America. We don't all love the royal family. It's a very difficult relationship that we have with them. Some of us would just prefer a republic, but not the republic that you've got with the weird houses and senates and a man who really doesn't know how to talk anymore. So America, please don't assume things about Britain because it makes an ass out of you and me. That doesn't really work because we don't say ass here. It makes an arse out of you. It doesn't... Forget that. Just stop it. Like and subscribe.